Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head 10 different ways? You walk away from a simple interaction, and suddenly your brain starts editing it like a movie. Why did I say that? Did they think I was weird? Maybe I should have responded differently. And hours later, you're still there, still analyzing, still dissecting, still searching for the right version of something that already happened. If that sounds familiar, you're not dramatic, you're not weak, and you're definitely not alone. Psychology says overthinking isn't just about thinking too much. It's often about trying to feel safe in a world that feels unpredictable. And when you understand what your mind is actually trying to do, you stop fighting yourself. You start understanding yourself. Let's talk about the psychology of people who overthink everything. 1. Overthinking is a form of self-protection. Research shows that rumination, the habit of repeatedly thinking about the same situation, often develops as a coping strategy. Your brain believes that if it can just think hard enough, long enough, deeply enough, it can prevent future pain. It's trying to protect you. If you grew up in an environment where mistakes were criticized, or where emotional reactions were unpredictable, your brain learned something very important. Be careful. So now, before you send that text, you read it 5 times. Before you make a decision, you imagine every possible outcome. Before you speak up, you calculate the emotional temperature of the room. This isn't weakness. It's hyper-awareness. Your nervous system is scanning for threats, not physical ones, but social ones. Rejection, embarrassment, disapproval. Psychologists call this threat sensitivity, and for overthinkers, it runs high. But here's the quiet truth. The brain that overthinks is often the same brain that cares deeply. You don't overanalyze things you don't value. You overthink because it matters to you. And that's not a flaw. 2. You probably have a high level of self-consciousness. There's a concept in psychology called self-focused attention. It simply means your attention naturally turns inward. You're not just experiencing moments, you're observing yourself experiencing them. After a conversation, you're not only remembering what happened, you're evaluating your tone, your facial expressions, the timing of your jokes. It's like having a second narrator in your mind saying, "Was that okay? Did that sound confident? Did they notice I hesitated?" And that connects to social comparison theory, the tendency to measure yourself against others. You might walk into a room and immediately notice who seems more confident, who speaks more clearly, who seems more liked. And without even realizing it, you start ranking yourself. That internal comparison can fuel overthinking, because now every small interaction feels like it's being graded. But here's something important. High self-awareness can be a strength. It can make you reflective, emotionally intelligent, empathetic. The issue isn't that you reflect, it's that reflection turns into self-criticism, and those are 2 very different things. 3. Your brain craves certainty. Overthinkers often struggle with uncertainty. Research in cognitive psychology shows that some people have a lower tolerance for ambiguity. When things feel unclear, the brain reacts as if something is wrong. So you try to solve it. If someone replies with "okay," you don't read it as neutral, you read it as a puzzle. Are they mad? Are they busy? Did I say something wrong? Your brain hates not knowing, so it fills the gap with possibilities, usually negative ones. This is connected to something called negativity bias, the brain's natural tendency to assume worst-case scenarios because historically, that kept humans alive. But in modern life, that survival instinct shows up in small social moments. A delayed reply feels like rejection. A neutral tone feels like anger. Your mind creates stories to reduce uncertainty, and sometimes those stories aren't accurate. This doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It might just mean your brain prefers control, and control feels safer than "I don't know." 4. You feel responsible for how others feel. Many people who overthink also carry a strong sense of emotional responsibility. If someone seems quiet around you, you wonder if you caused it. If someone cancels plans, you replay your last interaction. This can connect to attachment style, especially anxious attachment, where connection feels important but fragile. Your mind constantly checks. Are we okay? Did I upset them? Are they pulling away? You don't just want relationships. You want reassurance. So your mind monitors everything. Tone shifts, response time, body language. And when something feels slightly off, you start analyzing. Overthinking becomes a way to try and secure connection. But here's the hard part. You are not responsible for regulating everyone else's emotions. Sometimes people are quiet because they're tired. Sometimes replies are short because they're busy. Sometimes silence has nothing to do with you. But when you care deeply, your brain struggles to accept that. And again, that's not weakness. It's sensitivity. And sensitivity, when balanced, is powerful. 5. You replay the past to avoid future regret. Another reason people overthink is regret avoidance. There's a cognitive bias called hindsight bias, the belief that you should have known better after something goes wrong. So now, before making decisions, you try to pre-experience regret. You imagine future disappointment, future embarrassment, future failure. And you think, if I analyze this enough, I won't make a mistake. But here's the quiet irony. Overthinking doesn't actually prevent regret. Sometimes it creates it. You hesitate, you delay, you miss opportunities because you're still calculating risks. The brain believes thinking equals control, but life doesn't always reward perfect calculations. Sometimes growth requires imperfect action. And if you're someone who replays old conversations at night, thinking, I should have said this, I should have done that, it doesn't mean you're broken, it means you care about becoming better. The key is learning when reflection becomes rumination. Reflection asks, what can I learn? Rumination asks, why am I like this? And those lead to very different emotional places. 6. Overthinking is linked to emotional depth. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Many overthinkers feel things deeply. You don't brush things off easily. You don't forget emotional moments quickly. Your brain doesn't just store events, it stores emotional texture, the tone, the pause, the look in someone's eyes. This emotional depth can make you incredibly empathetic, but it also means your mind processes experiences longer. Psychologists sometimes connect this to high-trait neuroticism, which sounds negative, but it really just means emotional responsiveness is high. You notice shifts others don't. You pick up subtleties others miss. That can be exhausting, but it can also make you intuitive. The goal isn't to shut that down, it's to regulate it. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means recognizing when your mind is spiraling and gently bringing it back. Not with shame, not with force, but with awareness.